You've been feeling it, haven't you? That quiet shift inside you that you can't fully explain. It's like your old life still exists, but it doesn't fit anymore. Conversations feel shallow. Goals that once excited you now feel empty. And the strangest part? You can't go back to who you were, but you're not fully sure who you're becoming either. That in-between space can feel confusing, even isolating. But what if this isn't confusion at all? What if this is a sign that you're evolving at a level most people never reach? In this video, you're going to see the hidden signs that you're not lost. You're actually a spiritually advanced soul stepping into a higher level of awareness. And by the end, you'll understand exactly why your life feels so different and what this shift is preparing you for. It starts with a deep sense that something isn't right with the way most people live. You look around and see people chasing things that don't truly satisfy them. Approval, status, distractions, and it feels like you're watching a loop you no longer want to be part of. You try to explain it, but the words never fully capture what you feel. It's not that you think you're better than anyone, it's that you've seen through something. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. This creates a quiet distance between you and the world, a gap that can feel uncomfortable at first. But here's what most people don't realize about this stage. It's not separation for no reason. It's preparation. Because what comes after this realization changes the way you interact with everything. And most people never make it to that point. Then there's the way you handle situations that used to trigger you. Things that once pulled you into stress, anger, or overthinking now feel lighter. Not because life got easier, but because something inside you got stronger. You start observing instead of reacting. You notice patterns in people's behavior without immediately getting emotionally involved. It's like you've stepped half a step back from the chaos, and now you can see it more clearly. And yet this doesn't make you cold. It actually makes you more aware. You begin to understand why people act the way they do, even when it doesn't make sense on the surface. But here's the part that catches most people off guard. The more you understand others, the harder it becomes to tolerate certain behaviors. And that tension leads to a decision you didn't expect to make. You begin to outgrow people, places, and habits that once felt normal. It's not dramatic. It's subtle. A conversation feels forced. A routine feels pointless. A connection that once felt strong now feels like it's missing something real. And you don't always know how to explain it without sounding distant or different. So you stay quiet. You pull back. You start choosing your energy more carefully. And sometimes that choice makes you look like the one who changed, even though deep down you know you're just becoming more aligned with who you really are. But what happens when this process speeds up? When the gap between you and your old life becomes too big to ignore? You develop a strong sense of inner guidance that doesn't rely on constant validation from others. You still listen, you still learn, but you don't depend on external opinions to make decisions the way you used to. There's a quiet confidence that starts to build, not loud or aggressive, but steady. You begin to trust your instincts, even when they go against what everyone else is doing. And this can feel risky at first, because it means stepping away from the safety of the crowd. But every time you follow that inner direction, something interesting happens. Things start to align in ways you didn't expect. Opportunities show up, clarity increases, and you realize that this guidance has been there all along. You just weren't tuned into it before. But this new level of trust brings a challenge that most people aren't ready for. You start seeing through people more clearly than ever before. Not in a judgmental way, but in a perceptive way. You notice inconsistencies between what people say and what they do. You sense intentions without needing long explanations. You pick up on energy shifts in conversations, in environments, even in silence. And while this awareness can be powerful, it also comes with a cost. Because once you see clearly, it becomes harder to ignore what doesn't feel right. You can't pretend not to notice. You can't convince yourself that everything is fine when it's not. And this forces you to make choices that others might not understand. Choices that protect your peace, but also change your relationships in ways you didn't see coming. At the same time, you become more comfortable being alone. Not because you don't value people, but because you no longer fear your own thoughts. Silence stops feeling empty and starts feeling necessary. You begin to use that time to reflect, to reset, to understand yourself on a deeper level. And in that space, something important happens. You stop running from yourself. You face your patterns, your fears, your habits, and instead of avoiding them, you start working through them. This level of self-awareness is rare, and it's one of the clearest signs that you're growing beyond the surface level of life. But the deeper you go into this process, the more one question starts to rise. What are you actually becoming? You notice that your definition of success begins to change. It's no longer just about external achievements or recognition. Those things still have value, but they're not the main focus anymore. You start prioritizing peace, clarity, and authenticity over approval. You care less about being seen a certain way and more about being real with yourself. And this shift can confuse people around you because it doesn't follow the usual path. It's not loud. It's not flashy, but it's deeply fulfilling in a way that's hard to explain unless you've experienced it. And as this new definition of success becomes clearer, you start making decisions that align with it, even if it means walking a path that looks completely different from everyone else's. There's also a growing ability to let go, not instantly, not perfectly, but more consciously than before. You hold on to things less tightly, you recover from setbacks faster. You understand that not everything is meant to stay, and that sometimes losing something is actually creating space for something better aligned. This doesn't mean you don't feel pain. It means you don't get stuck in it the same way. You process it, you learn from it, and you move forward with more awareness than before. And this ability to release what no longer serves you becomes one of your greatest strengths, because it keeps you moving, even when life tries to hold you in place. And then there's the biggest shift of all, the way you start seeing your own life. You no longer feel like everything is random or meaningless. You begin to notice patterns, lessons and connections between experiences that once seemed unrelated. Challenges start to feel less like punishment and more like part of a process that's shaping you. And while you may not have all the answers, you have something more valuable, a sense of direction, a feeling that you're moving towards something, even if you can't fully describe it yet. And that feeling changes everything, because once you reach this level of awareness, you can't go back to living unconsciously. You can't ignore what you've seen, what you've felt, what you've understood. You move differently. You think differently. You choose differently. And while this path isn't always easy, it's real. It's yours, and it's leading you somewhere most people never even realize exists. So if you've been feeling disconnected, misunderstood, or like you're changing in ways you can't explain, take a moment to see it clearly. This isn't you losing your way. This is you finding it. Step by step, choice by choice, you're becoming more aware, more intentional, more aligned with who you truly are. And the next step? It's simple but not easy. Start trusting what you're feeling. Start acting on the clarity you already have. Because the more you do, the more everything begins to make sense and the more powerful this transformation becomes.